yeah, you're standing on a cliff and you got to jump and you're like, it is so scary. Like, what if this doesn't work out? What if I don't get any customers? What if my product fails? Whatever. And you're like standing on the cliff and you got to jump. But like, once you do jump off the cliff, you'll learn it was just a curb.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's so difficult. I talk to guys all the time. I'm like, I'll help you start this company and coach you up and do it. And you'll be so free. The things that you're worried about right now, and it'll take you 6 months of just, pain and suffering, but like, you'll make it. I promise you'll make it. You have what it takes.
All right, team. Well, we're back here in studio after being on the road for a little bit with the one and only Jonathan Lusk. Brother, good to have you in studio and have you back on, man.
It's good to be here, man. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, man, we caught up. Let's see. Last time we saw each other was at that Steve Ranella event.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
I was like, when's the last time you actually saw your face?
Probably
I've talked to
a year
you,
ago.
Jay. Yeah, maybe. It's funny how like we can catch up and talk and everything else, but then if I had to put on paper when's the last time I saw your face, it's like it just kind of.
That was it.
Yeah. Well, man, I even then I was catching up on what you were building. You guys have just continued to just BirdDog it over and over and over again in a way that's like the spirit's the same, but the company is much different and it's grown. So we're looking forward to jumping into that. And for those that are listening in right now, Jonathan has got. I'm not going to bury the lead here. He's got a really great raw way of thinking about not only leading teams, but also just being a good man while you do it. And I think that's, if I thought about the main reason I want to get you back on, I was sitting with a group of guys the other day and gals, and a lot of them basically in so many words were like, I'm really focused on the business and I kind of forgot why I'm doing it, and kind of just, you get caught up in the mix. And so my hope is that I think you just got a really good perspective and a couple things that as we've chatted over the years and became more and more friends here that burn in my brain. So look forward to getting into it. But with that, man, every show we kick off with a question from the audience.
Yep.
Their owners, their fellow folks just like you and I, that just have something burning on their brain. And so being that you were in a life of, kind of more of a traditional investments and stuff before doing what you do now, I thought this might be a great question to ask. So if you don't mind, this is Daniel here out of Georgetown.
Let's go.
Veteran, owns a great business, and I think it's a very technical question, but I think a guy like you'd appreciate it because you've lived, I think, on both sides of the coin. Mm-hmm. Just curious what you think. How do you navigate having teammates work at 110% while the company grows revenue to then bring on a new teammate? And the premise is wanting to run a business completely off of internal revenue and not bringing outside capital. Just what your thoughts are on how you balance growth.
The most thing, if you're bringing on somebody new, the number one thing is culture. Like, they have to be a cultural fit. Doesn't matter how good they are. If they mess up your culture, like, it doesn't matter. And so what we do at BirdDog, and we're growing fast as well, is, depending on what the role is, I have the peers. Like, I tell them, I say, you are better. That's who's got to work here. So I have them bring the person.
We say
in.
you are better?
You are better, yeah. And so, like, they self-select, hey, I've got this guy, because they're accountable if he's not good, And so that's I think it's a critical mistake if you bring someone in, no matter how great they are, if they're 110% with a bad attitude. Got a mentor that said they're like, in any organization, there's probably like 60% A players, like 30% B players, like show up on time, leave on time. There's like 10% terrorists, and you have to do to terrorists. And so, like, they actually work against the company. And so who you hire up front, and I think it's the hardest job. I think hiring is the hardest part of this job. It's like a CEO's job is basically like, create vision and make sure everybody knows what it is, like capitalize the company, and like you're a glorified HR manager. And so like HR is like I spend most of my time on this. So like, and we start everybody off, as part-time to see if you can make it, to see if people like you, if you're a hard worker. And so we'll give you like a month. And if you do a good job, then we bring you on full-time. And if not, and as a startup, you have to hire fast and fire fast. There's not like a lot of waiting, especially when you're in growth. You have to hire these people.
Yeah, no, I think that's always the hardest thing, especially when you're early on. You're thinking, man, but I just, even though this guy's a jerk, like, I can't afford not to have a body in that seat. Mm-hmm. And you subscribe to, like, You can't afford not to, you got to get rid of that guy.
Yeah, well,
Like it's far more damaging.
I've hired and fired a lot in this business in the short 4 years, and sometimes I have hired that way where it's like I need a technical leader. I'm a non-technical founder, and you get in there and you're like, oh man, you're moonlighting at another job, or or you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, and then I've got to fire him. And I'm like, oh, I got to go find somebody else. I don't even know the questions to ask.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about your code base, so I got to go find somebody that can look at that to make sure that you're competent and find out, and replace that person. But we've got a team right now that is humming along. Where I have enough people who can then bring in lower level folks that they can evaluate them to know that their skill level's really good and they're a good cultural fit. When you're first building it, you're like, I need an engineer for me personally, or I know sales, I know marketing, but like I didn't know product and I didn't know engineering, so that it's a challenge. That's why we do this stuff, man.
Yeah, I know, man. Do you feel like being a non-technical founder is actually a bit of a gift because you don't have that muscle to go, I'll just write the code, that it forces you to delegate? Hey, y'all, quick break. Here at American Operator, we believe that small business is the backbone of this country. But more and more, Main Street's getting swallowed up by big corporations, Wall Street, or some of them are just shutting down. And if you've ever thought about building something of your own, or just being a part of saving the American dream, head on over to AmericanOperator.com. It's your one-stop shop for inspiration, stories, and you'll get to join this really great community of patriots that believe our country is still worth fighting for. All right, back to the show.
Well, you waste a lot of money because, I've wasted a lot of money on that we had to start all over. So that's the downside of it. The upside is like I'm more of a visionary, and I know where we're going, and I can see how the puzzle pieces fit, and then I can hire and like get people fired up about the job, and then I know where I'm not good at a certain thing, and so it's an advantage and a disadvantage, and you just have to figure it out. Like you have to hire somebody that's really good in that role that you can trust.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's the analogy that comes to my brain is like being the GM of a baseball team. Mm-hmm. I think oftentimes the analogies across the CEO, founder, leader spot is amongst the other sports, but I think about kind of living and dying by the roster. Mm-hmm. You're not throwing pitches, you're not hitting, you're not doing any of the work.
Yeah.
But you're the first person that's, if it's not going right, that's going to come back to it all. Daniel, thanks for the question, man. And hopefully it's helpful in your endeavor. I know that's something that all us owners kind of have on our mind all the time. Mm-hmm. I've learned that it's like 98% of the job is the people part. Yeah. No matter what you do.
It's fun and hard. It's like worth it.
Yeah. We're complex things, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know what we're just, there's a lot going on, man. Well, Jonathan, before we kick into it all, I got the overlap in what American Operator does and what you guys do at BirdDog. Like to me, it's the main overlap is the relationship piece, and I want to get into that because you guys got you guys half the team's engineers. We got some of the smartest folks on this team working on diligence, underwriting, all this stuff. But none of it matters unless you've done the old school handshake relationship building with these ranchers, farmers, or with these business owners. But before we get into that, just set context for folks who don't know. How would you describe what BirdDog is? Maybe even give a little bit of history where it started and where it is now.
Yeah, BirdDog started as an Airbnb for hunting. And so the premise was in Texas, 95% of the land is privately owned. So if you want to go hunt, you've got to be invited or own a ranch. There's no like public tee time system like you have for golf or hunting. And these landowners, these properties are tied to their legacy. And so they buy this land. Most of them all lose money, but they're very important to the family to appreciate and enjoy the land. And so they're just trying to cover operational expenses, property taxes, feed bills, insurance. And they've got these hunting properties, and maybe they don't have a website or the website's not very good. And so we said, hey, what if we go take photos of all the ranches, get with a biologist, understand what game's available, and then put it on a website, and then people can go hunt and do whatever they want. That's how it started. And then we started talking to landowners, and we heard about these tax deductions that they were getting. And then you go ask their neighbor that had a very similar profile, and they weren't taking advantage of those tax deductions. So we're like, we can aggregate tax deductions and help landowners and put that into the platform. And then it was like these farmers called us and were like, hey, you're using, like hunters are using the land for hunting. Could we lease it for farming? Or ranchers like, we need extra land to lease for cattle. So like we could make a marketplace on those things. So it became a land intelligence platform where you can now go on our website and put in the entity that owns that property, and all your properties will pop up. And then we've got all the data on them that will show you a map of your property, average rainfall, like how you can use this property if you want to sell hunts or bird watching experiences or whatever. And then, there's a call to action that says, here's a tax deduction that you qualify for. Do you want to do it? Yes or no? Do you want to refinance your ranch or buy additional land? Yes or no? And then that'll go to us, and we do all the work to help you maintain that property to keep it in your family. Or you can sell it if you want, but you have the option.
Did you think the business would end up being where it is now?
I had no clue. I didn't even think I was going to be in this business. I was like...
What do you mean?
Well, I grew up like poor on a fish farm. And then...
Wait, it was a fish farm in Texas?
Oh, yeah, Texas. Yeah, my dad's a fisher's biologist. And so he's awesome, but we didn't have any money. And then I was like, I went to A&M and then went to Rice for Business School and then went to Goldman. And I was like, I didn't want to be poor, honestly. That was the gist of it. And I barely got into school and barely got out. But then I started this wealth management track, and I thought that was the deal. But BirdDog came about because one of my investors wanted me to manage his ranch, and I didn't really know what I was doing. So I was like, let's put it on the Airbnb for hunting. I was like, well, it doesn't exist. So he gave me capital, and I raised some capital and started it. And then I sold that wealth management business. But it was like these little steps that I've taken throughout my life kind of prepared me for the next thing. When I thought it was the thing, it wasn't. It was a preparation for the next thing. So like the wealth management business helped me understand finance, human beings, like the relationship side, the investment side. And it's exactly what I'm doing with BirdDog.
How do you had this, you had told me when we first started getting to know each other, because I think I asked you something similar about like, how did you know what to go to next? And I think I wonder if you remember this now, but you kind of painted this picture of, sitting on a chair and looking at a bunch of doors. Yeah. And you stand up and exactly you walk up. You said the old version you used to find a locked door and kick on it and hit it. Yeah. Now the new version, you walks up, if it's locked, you just sit back down in that chair and go try again on the open doors. I mean, can you just share for folks? Because there seems to be an ease with like how you're kind of moving through your life and how you move through the business. What else would you shed light on? My framework for decision making has been heavily influenced by a guy named Terry Looper. And Terry was a guy who had a nervous breakdown when he was 37, made a bunch of money, and lost his mind, couldn't get on airplanes. And he cries out to the Lord and just says, hey, if you give me my mind back, like I'll get serious about my walk with you. And he does. And he starts a midstream company in 1989. He's got two rules. One is I'm going to have no sales targets. And number two, I'm not working more than 8 hours a day. And anybody who works for me is not going to work more than 8 hours a day. I'm just going to take care of my customers. And he sold it last year. I think they were doing like 6 or 7 billion in revenue. He owned 100% of it. But he wrote a book called Sacred Pace. And it's a 4-step process really for how Christian business people should like make decisions. And it is consult your friend Jesus is number one. And I'll be talking to him. I'm like, I have like all these great ideas. He's like, hey, Lusk, have you talked to the Lord about that? I'm like, he knows. He's like, no. So you're going to have a nervous breakdown. It's cool. I'll be here for you. Wait, this is the guy says
this Terry says it to me, yeah. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, yeah, I was just like you. You're, a few months away from a nervous breakdown. I'm like, okay, fine. I am working hard. And then, so one's consult your friend Jesus. Number two is gather the facts. Like, what do you know to be true about the scenario? Number three is watch for circumstances. Like, what do you see happening? And number four is get neutral. Don't manipulate the outcome. Because we're good at selling and closing and winning. And it's like, if you do that, you may miss something. And so that's what I do. And I did it yesterday. There were 2 meetings, one that I've been trying to close for a long time. And I was getting frustrated. I'm like, man, I'm going to tell this person how I think because they're not getting back to me. And then I woke up, I was like, okay, that's not a good idea. I'm obviously not neutral. I got neutral, and then I got a call today, and I was like, hey, man, how you doing? And then it happened.
Oh, for the guy?
Oh, yeah. He called me back, and I'm like, you need to call me back.
It's like watching water boil.
It is.
Yeah, hurry up.
But the thing of it is like if you get neutral and like things just happen. Yeah. And those doors we talk about, like it may not be what you want, but it's what you need. And so you go through that door and it might loop back to what you wanted over here. You may not want that anymore. It wasn't as important as you thought. And so that's how I make decisions.
It reminds me of I had a really great buddy, man, that I still good, like a brother to me, that I went to the academy with, and we both talk about this going through doors that you didn't want, and then eventually coming back as like God's training.
Yeah.
He's like, that's the door you're gonna get, but you ain't ready for it yet.
Yeah.
You got to go get your licks somewhere else, or you got to go get some training or whatever. It sounds like that's what you're saying too, where that vision, I think that's the hard part about being a visionary founder, or being somebody who's a visionary leader, is you can see the end state so clearly of where you're going. It's probably been that way since you're 5 years old. You know exactly where it looks like. So you kind of want to jump ahead.
Yeah.
You know?
And certain things take longer. Like when I was running the wealth management business, like that grew quickly. This one is a lot of people and a lot of technology, and it takes a lot of time. And so you have to understand, like, what is the pay? Like go 100 miles an hour. But it's like the antithesis is like you also have to be neutral. Like if something doesn't happen the way you want it to, you still have to push forward and know that things take a lot longer than you think. And that's okay, because I always think, I tell my guys, like, who you're becoming is more important than the outcome. You can't control the outcome. Like that scoreboard is going to go up when it's ready to, when Jesus is ready for it to go up, tell him. And you have almost no impact on that. But who are you becoming in your process? Like that's really important. And that's what I told him. I was like, man, when we sell this company, it's like, it'll be happy and you'll be very sad, because like who you became and the things that we get to do every day together is like, it's more important. It just is. Like your character is getting developed. You're developing deep friendships. You're learning how to work hard. You're learning how to think. You're solving very hard problems. You're going to bed some nights where you don't have the answer and you got to struggle with that. You're afraid all the time. So you have to be brave. And you can't be brave if you're not afraid first. Like that's a very important thing to go through. And so I think about this a lot. Like be happy with where you are. Even though you want something more, like you have to be present.
Get neutral, man. Well, that's the episode, y'all. I mean, yeah, I'm not sure we got much more to talk about. I felt like, man, we're only just quarter way in, Les.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah, we'll keep up the heat, man. Well, on that note, man, I mean, talk about, like, speaking of getting neutral, I think one of the things that we both share a very kindred spirit about is no matter how technical, how robust, how complex, the relationship is first and always. Like, especially with your customer or with the person you're talking to across the table there. How have you been able to keep that as the company's growing, man? I mean, it is just a weed. Every time I see it, it's bigger and bigger and more more tech, more data, everything. And yet, I know for a fact, when you're meeting that rancher, when you're meeting that farmer, there's no bit of one-sheeter or some kind of explainer video that's going to get them to do anything.
Yeah.
One, can you explain your process of how you earn their trust in their business? But two, how do you keep the spirit of that, where I'm sure everybody wants you to just, like, how do you make this more scalable, Lusk?
Yeah. Well, I don't have any institutional money, so that's good. It's all high net worth guys who are patient. That's number one.
Yeah, you got to find the right partners.
And then I would say, like, I listen a lot. Like, I'll go meet these guys, landowners, and I'll just listen to understand their problems and see if we have a solution. And some guys, I'm like, we're not a good fit, but I'll introduce you to this person over here who can do this thing. And if they are a good fit, then I'll just say, hey, here's what we do. And then I get neutral. And if you want to work with me, great. If not, no big deal. And I was actually telling this to my guys, because like I basically just make like the hardest decisions every day. Like our office space is like open, everybody's got desks, and I sit in a chair and drink coffee and like read.
Well, you got like a lazy boy in the
I've got a chair just like this, and I sit and I kick my feet up and I read and I talk on the phone almost every day. And if somebody brings me a problem, it's like something very hard. It's like Elon talks about, like staring in the abyss and chewing glass every day. That's what I do. Like, I
ain't cranking emails or doing meetings. I'm sitting in that daggone chair, black coffee.
Yeah, exactly. Like Michael Cotter, who's my chief revenue officer, he walks up to me one day and he's got a check in his hand, and I was like, all right. In my mind, I was like, I thought it was gonna be like $80,000.
Yeah.
And it was like $370,000 that somebody mailed us a check Like, they're not sending wires. Like, all right. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. And I was like, dude, this is awesome. I gave him a hug. I was like, get to the bank right now and get that deposited, you know? So like my celebrations are very few, but like but also I'm training these guys on how to think and how to make decisions and how to process, to replicate myself, so that they can replicate themselves. Like, work yourself out of a job and, you know, find your replacement and coach them up. Like, it's constant, because it's not just at BirdDog. It's like, who are you going to be whenever, you know, you go start your own company? What kind of boss are you going to be? And I give them that vision. Like, these are the things you have to think about. My really senior guys, I like teaching them how to raise money and how to like do the things that they don't have to do right now. But like, these are skills that you need to have. You know, you need to understand people, and like we were working on this one big deal with a very wealthy family, and I said, the way you deal with this is you explain, you understand the problem because they brought it. Here's our solution. It's really good. They can do it on their own, and there's risk for that, or they can pay us, and you're neutral on it. You say, hey, call me when you're ready. We're here. And they'll know, like, we're the best at this thing. And then if they choose to do it on their own, that's okay. And if they come back to you, like, you're setting a standard for how you operate, like truth, grace, respect, all those things. But don't just try to win something just because you're itching to win something. That's not how you do it. You better have a good product, you know, and you better listen a lot. But that's how I think about it, and that's how my guys think about it. Or we're all in process. But that's how I do it. I don't force anything. I just wait for it to come, but have a really solid understanding of the problem and the solution.
Can you explain or paint a picture for maybe some of the younger teammates that come in? Does it kind of mess their brain up a little bit at first, like getting used to that process?
Oh yeah, because our floor is like wide open, and I give feedback in front of everybody, and it's not like, hey man, come talk to me for a minute. You know, you get into this. I'm like, hey, like I'll give you an example. Yesterday, we got a big lead, and we'd had a lead. This guy emailed that he wanted to lease his property. It was like 17 acres, and my sales guy emailed him 3 times and no response. And the guy had his cell phone number on there, and the lead goes over. A guy calls into our office. I just said, "Hey, so and so, I emailed you guy, or I filled out a form, but I've got 10,000 acres, and you know, I'm looking for land to lease and maybe do some hunting stuff." And my guy was like, "Hey, are you working on this?" And he's like, "Yeah, I emailed him. He never emailed me back." And I said, "Hey, did you call him?" And he's like, "No." I was like, "Why didn't you call him?" I said, "He's a 10, and this other guy's getting the lead."
Yeah.
I was like, "Call him." I was like, "Don't just send the emails," you know. And this guy said, "Hey, have you heard of Section 180? Never heard of it." It said he responded to a leasing ad, but you can cross sell to this other thing that's a good fit for him, and he'll probably save like $8 million in taxes, and we'll make a lot of money on it too. But like that was an example where I gave him the feedback, you know, to like, here's something that you need to do. Don't just send 3 emails. Call this guy, because you might be sitting on a really big opportunity. You go close that lead. But they also know that I love them. And so they know that I care deeply about them, but I also, part of loving somebody is telling them the truth. And so I do it mostly with grace, but they love it. I mean, they're like, it's the best. And the guys who don't love it don't stay.
Don't stick around.
They don't, and that's okay. Because I'm like, guys, we got a big job to do, and it's very important. It's important to these landowners. It's important to us, and you have to be all in, and you got to be willing to take the feedback and grow and get better. Because it goes back to, who are you becoming? Like, if you can't handle this assignment, you will not get the next one. Mm-hmm. You can't. If you got to conquer this one, or it's just going to keep coming back until you can defeat it and get to the next level, which is better and harder and more rewarding.
Invaluable, Jonathan. Yeah, it's like good medicine. Like, it never really goes down good at first, but then after a while you start to feel the effects of it, and you go, okay, yeah, that is good for me.
Yeah.
You know, and you kind of, I mean, I guess some folks, I remember when I was in the service, they used to they probably abused it sometimes. It's like, that's how you build thick skin. But I think it's more like that's how you kind of build the muscle memory and kind of the recall that that you need it at some point then to kind of grow an instinct about it. Like, it becomes more like in your DNA, but you're not going to have that if you're not like aware of what is and what isn't working. And I think that's the part that I think it on its face can feel like, hey man, Jonathan Lusk that guy's, he just hit it to me hard. And he goes, well, if you really kind of paid attention to if he didn't really care about you, he probably wouldn't say anything.
That's right. That's why I wouldn't say anything.
Yeah, you just kind of let him go.
And that's what I tell him. And I do little stuff like, hey, if one of my guys' collars up, I'm like, dude, why did you leave the house like this? Because it's like the Corps cadets, like, if you're not squared away, your buddy's doing push-ups because he let you out of the room like that.
Yeah, that's right. Put a mirror on the way out so you know you don't look weird.
Yeah, exactly. So I just tell the truth. Tell the truth. And because things can get fixed very quick. And there's, and if you are that fit, if you are that A player, you will thrive in this environment, and will compensate you well. And all my guys have equity, and like we're all on the same page. I'll have healthcare. Like they'll come to me with something that they need, and I'll go, let me figure that out, because like I see you need that, and I can do it. My dad always says people do things because they can and they want to, and if one of those factors is missing, it ain't gonna happen. But like, I love working with these guys, the guys that are a really good fit.
Yeah.
It's beauty.
Yeah, there's nothing more energizing, man. Talk to me about these owners, or these ranchers and these farmers. Like when you talk about the calling them, like call them. I think especially folks who tune into here, I think what breaks their brain. Let me back up a little bit. I was at a thing at UT here recently. And so I know that's enemy territory over there.
Texas Aggie, baby.
Yeah. So, but I was at an event, and they had a bunch of folks up there. These are guys and gals that are looking at potentially getting in the owner's seat one day, taking over a plumbing company, electrical supply, whatever. And I could tell that the speakers were speaking, but I like watching the people. And I could tell it wasn't registering in their brain, because all these guys and gals are the best and brightest from Goldman and JP and McKinsey and all these. They grinded it out. And what they were telling him, one of the owners was up there, and he goes, I'll be on 60 flights this year. And everybody was like, looked at him like that was crazy. Like, why wouldn't you just Zoom call? Like, that seems like an inefficient use of money and time. And he goes, I don't think you understand my customers. And you could tell they didn't understand. Like, there was just something about it that I could tell wasn't clicking in the audience, like why he was doing that. Can you just shed a light on, especially with the ranchers and farmers, like why the 3 emails just isn't going to work? And and I guess what I'm really trying to ask is, I almost have a hard time explaining it to people because it's just it's like animalistic. Like it's a feeling more than it is here's an exact objective reason why you should call somebody and not just email them 3 times. I don't know, any light you can shed on why that's something these folks think differently about?
I think just like relationships matter. Like if you think about the businesses you're talking about, they're all like, you were talking about like blue collar jobs or whatever. Like, and I think about like ranchers, whether they're farmers or whatever, if they're white collar guys who bought a ranch or blue collar guys, like 3rd generation farmer or whatever, like the humanity of it all. Like there's part of like being part of the land and the humanity of it. Like you own that for a reason. So we're talking about the guy who just turned down the $30 million offer for the data center. Like that was generational wealth. And he's like, no, like my land, I will never do that. Like these people are like built different. And so looking in the eyes and handshakes matter. And it's actually a better way to live. Like I think is like, and we use AI and do all the things, but I think like as AI becomes more important and things get more efficient, the humanity will be more important. And so I tell my guys, here's how it's going to work. Like engineering will probably have fewer engineers and you'll have more agents, so like the fundamentals of the engineer have got to be like really good. So like you can basically check the work or whatever. The most money we'll spend is in marketing. You'll have like the largest budget probably, and the most human capital will be in sales. Like we've got 6 sales guys, like get ready for 100. They're out and about, spending time with people, listening, understanding, creating resolution. And in technology, we're uniquely positioned because you can't be a tech bro and like create some scalable thing and like have no relationship, and you can't scale it if you don't have the technology. If you just have the relationship, you have to have both. And so, I mentioned this earlier, but my chief revenue officer is going up to Iowa, and he's going to go meet with 100 farmers and just go have dinner with them and spend time together and get to know them and build trust. And last time we did it, they said, hey, we're building a farming marketplace connecting farmers with landowners to lease land to farming, just like we do for hunting. They're like, hey, there's another group that did this, and it was basically the highest bidder, and we got outbid. We can't afford it. We're fourth generation, but here are our input costs. And, if you could tell our story, some people may want the highest dollar, but if they saw how we took care of the soil, we're a fourth generation farmer, maybe we could pay, whatever it is, $50 an acre instead of $60 an acre, because they believe in us. I said, we'll absolutely do that. We will tell your story. And if we win, we win. If we don't, we don't. But we're doing the right thing. And then you just go for it. You're like, maybe we'll win, maybe it won't, but this is the right thing.
Yeah.
But you don't see much technology in this business. And I think that's the reason. You either have something that's not scalable, or you have something that's very scalable with no soul.
Yeah, thanks for that, Jonathan. It's like it's like it's almost like you got to live it. It's almost like you got to get these the teammates to shadow you.
You got to believe.
They got to believe, and they got to see these guys and gals, you know. The other day this is unrelated to work. I just, I like being out the hill country, and we have friends and people and things, and I'm always catching up with owners, just how they tick. And it's amazing what will bother them, what will be burned on their brain that just tick them off. And it's the funniest things, but it's not funny. Yeah, I'll give you an example. This guy the other day, we were catching up. He's a steel guy, does really intense. If you imagine big commercial steel, this guy does it. And, it didn't, he doesn't even care that some of these payments that he's gotten from customers come in kind of wonky, or because a lot of folks he's working with are a little bit higher net worth. So, they have somebody else processing payments. They're usually actually pretty timely folks, those kind of folks, but it just gets caught up in that never bugs him. That okay, whatever. It's 15 days from now, we'll be fine. What bothers him is when he comes back to the shop and some contractors he had working on something left trash everywhere, or left a couple Coke cans. Man, ticked off. I mean, all day long we'll talk about it. And what I'm reminded is what you just said is how they're just different. They're different because to them, what's most important is respect. Right? Did you respect this process that I've put together to feed the mouths of all my teammates, to be a part of the community? It makes them proud that their names are on the back of these T-ball players' jerseys. That's the stuff they care about. And so when you go into their place and you basically spray paint their house is the way they look at it, that's almost irreparable damage. And I think it's the same thing it sounds like with these farmers and ranchers. They don't, I'm sure they appreciate the technology, but they've figured out how to kind of get to where they're at without that so far. Yeah. So it doesn't seem that important to them.
Right.
It's the relationship.
But they'll also use it if they trust you. Because I go if you can use Facebook, you can use our site, but you totally got to have the trust. And everybody's different. Everybody's got something different that makes them tick. That they care about, but it's understanding that, and then truly being do we have alignment here? Personality wise, some of the stuff you don't need the personality for them to use with us, but in many scenarios you do, and then you have to be willing to be neutral and go this is a good fit, this isn't a good fit. But telling the truth, man, is just the best, because you're playing a totally different game. Yeah. You're you'll eventually win, the business will work or whatever. But if you can tell the truth all the time and be okay with yes or no, it's so great. I love when I got to make a hard decision. I'm going to lose this and that's okay. Or if it's a guy who's if I sense in a relationship, someone's doing something dumb, I can't believe this, I'll ask him about it. Hey, what got you so upset right there? I don't care if I lose the business. What's going on, man? Because a lot of times rich people and powerful people don't tell them the truth. They're just around a bunch of yes men. And so especially if you need the win on the sales or whatever, and you see a scenario where you're and I'm not saying you always do this, but if there's an opportunity to tell a guy the truth in love, I'm taking it, because man, it might change your life. And it just goes to show you that this relationship is more about the business, because I could lose it. I don't care.
I think that, and they I don't know, they feel that. It's like
Yeah.
they've seen it many a times. Like in a lot of ways, they've gotten to where they got to because of an instinct that they've built.
Yeah,
So
and
they
maybe
just
it's like
feel
his
it.
dad yelled at him because he didn't pick up the trash, and now he yells at people because they didn't pick up the trash, and
Yeah, it's like very.
he was late paying people, and so he doesn't care because it's not his issue. But it's probably very deep, you
Yeah.
know. But yeah, that's his. And I'm not saying that I would have done that in this scenario, but I do watch for circumstances where there's an opportunity to make like an eternal impact on somebody's life right now. It's like, and I'll tell you even more so the last like 6 months, because I was close friends with Charlie Kirk. And like, I say close friends, we were friends from 2015 to 2017. I met him when he was 21 years old, and
Wow.
then was involved with Turning Point USA. And then we would text and talk, once or twice a year. And when he got shot, it woke something up in me that I caught another year, like where I don't stay in neutral all the time, but I know that my time is very limited. And so there's like no mask, there's no BS. It's just like, what is your mission? It's like, for me, it's Christ, it's my wife, it's my children, it's that community I live in, and it's BirdDog and my friends. It's like it's very focused, and it's very focused, which is good because I'm all in right now. Like I stopped drinking, and I wasn't out of control. I just was like, it's a waste of my time.
Yeah.
And I'm not fully engaged all the time, and I want to be fully engaged. And so it's been even more fuel to the fire on what was already kind of the Lord was already building in me.
Yeah, you start to get really unapologetic about the things that, and maybe it's a growing up thing, or I don't know what it is, but I think I meet a lot of folks that I can tell their brain's a lot of different places.
Yeah.
And if they gave you an inventory list of the things that they're working on, I think somebody's in an older skin suit might go look at it and go like, man, 50% of these things, like, what are you even doing with that? It's just a complete waste of time. And you really realize, I had it was actually 2 or 3 episodes ago, one of the questions that came up, the guy asked something for Matthew, and he was like, what is it to a man to gain the world and lose himself,
Mm-hmm.
But the premise of that question is, why is it that we can overtly say what's most important to us, but then when we do the things, we don't do the things that show that?
Yeah.
Do you feel like that is? I see Jonathan Lusk, and it seems like you got that. You're like steadfast in it, and it took time. But what do you think the younger version of you had a hard time doing that with? Like, is that because it seemed like you had more time? So, hey, I'm going to work on this now, and then I'll spend time on the most important things later?
The younger version of me was like, and I'm still fun, but then you have kids and you get really tired. But the younger version of me was like bouncing off the walls, goofball, And then I also didn't think I could be successful unless I was like a certain type of personality.
Yeah.
And so there was like part of me that was like, well, I'm not going to be like this guy because I'm not like a buttoned up CEO. And he's like, I'm joking and goofing off, and he's always serious. And then, so there was like one resignation, like it's just not going to happen. And then there was like, oh, maybe I need to fit this. And then I'm like, oh, it's not my personality. And then like when you're younger, you worry about a lot of things that aren't true. It's like 80% of the things you're worried about aren't true. It's like, and I used to like run from the things I was afraid of. And I was like, no, I'm going to run at it. Every time I'm afraid, I'm going to go do it. Or if there's something I don't want to do, I'm going to go do it. And then it's like, you think it's like a brick wall and it's like a tissue. So like that was the younger version of me. I think, and when I talk to young guys and gals, it's like, there's just so much anxiety and so much worry. And like 80% of it isn't going to come to fruition. So it's like, how do you get that clear mind? I'm a Christian. So it's like, hey, go to Christ. It's the only solution you have. Number one, and then be in community with people who can, I go back to tell you the truth, love you, pick you up when you fall, have good mentors, be corrected, like be humble enough to like, if someone tells you something, like fix it, like don't keep doing it. And I think that community is like very important. And that's, there have been a lot of different things that have happened where it's just got me to where I'm at. And I still have, Lord willing, many years to go, but it's like, I told my wife, I'm like, I'm the happiest I've ever been, like the happiest that I've ever been, like totally in line with what I'm supposed to be doing. And I don't know the outcome. It's just like I'm in the process, and the process is pretty awesome.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it is, man.
What's the relationship y'all have together? Because I find usually it's a good team effort.
Kat?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean, how you and I kind of get an idea already, but like, I'm just for folks who don't know Kat and don't know you.
Yeah, we met. It was very scandalous. She was an 18-year-old soccer player at Texas A&M, and I was a senior yell leader. And we started dating, and we've been together since.
Is that not allowed?
Well, I just think 4-year difference is like, man, like you're dating a freshman? Yes, I am. She's awesome. Like, sweet, godly girl, led the Big 12 in yellow card, so she was like super mean. And then I'd go to her apartment, and she'd like cook this big meal. I'm like, Martha Stewart. I'm like, who is this? It's unbelievable. And so it's like one of those deals where like you got to get the deal done before somebody else does. And so we got married, and we've been together for whatever it is, 23 years, and dated for 5. Asked her dad's permission to marry. He told me no.
Oh,
She's
he
from
told you
Minnesota.
no?
Oh yeah. Told me
He's
no.
like, hey, this ain't ceremonial. I get to tell you
exactly.
no.
I was from the South. They're from Minnesota. I was like, man, I wasn't a doctor or lawyer, so I wasn't going to be able to provide. And I was like, I'm not giving up. I love this girl. I'm going to win. But you can
Did he
come.
eventually say yes, or do you just?
He said, well,
Or he gave you a condition?
he told it conditionally, you got to wait 2 more years.
Okay.
So we waited 5 years total. and so we got married up in Minnesota, and moved to Houston for her to go to medical school and all that stuff. But to answer your question, like I'm a visionary and she's an integrator. Mm-hmm. Like we were doing something. I was like, hey, we've got to get this done. We bought these goats. We got like 5 goats, and I was running this deal anyway. She was like, I was like, can you please just get the goats? And she was like, she sent me a text the next day, and it was all these baby goats, these cute goats. She was like, the visionary says get goats, the integrator gets goats. And I was like, you're so awesome. But generally I know that like I'm gonna have general counsel like read all the contracts, like I'm gonna negotiate them and stuff, but I'm bored out of my mind like reading these things. So I know that like that's not my skill set. And I used to feel guilty. It's like, man, I really need to do this. I'm like, I hate
but
doing
I don't
this.
give a hoot.
No, I don't care. I'm not doing this. Yeah. So I've just noticed it like that my strength is like vision, direction. I can see it. I can see when BirdDog's a $10 billion company. I can see it. But you have to go build it on his time. And like, okay, and then you have to talk to all these guys about it. In the same way, vision for my family, it's like I can see myself being, 80 or 90 years old holding her hand, watching the sun go down and watching our kids and our grandkids and going like, man, Grandma and Grandpa still live in this 3,000 square foot house on this 26 acres that they've lived in for 50 years, and they're holding hands and they love each other. Like, I see all that. And not to say that marriage isn't hard, it's very hard, but it's very worthy. And having children is very worthy. It's like, you want to understand the love of Christ, have kids, and you're like, if you would just do what I tell you to do, your life would be easy. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's what he's telling me. Yeah. And so like, so that's us, man. We're crazy. We're fun. We're on mission.
Yeah.
Like we're just trying to do what the Lord says to do. And our path has been very interesting, very cool, challenging, all the things.
Shared with a guy the other day that actually I was trying to give some support to folks that are trying to earn the trust of folks that they speak with and owners. And one of the things that came through my mind was as they were talking about some tips, I go, when you sit down with one of these owners, what do you split the time between talking? Because most of them bring their spouse, especially if they built anything that you feel like is a respectable business and one you're interested in, and maybe there's multiple people interested in it. I don't find it coincidental that they're bringing their spouse to the meeting. And often I ask them, like, are you talking to the spouse, or are you just, like, did you do the greet and then you just talk to the guy the whole time, or the owner? It might be a gal, but the owner the whole time. And I don't know about you, Les, but it sounds like with Kat's that way. But I feel like I don't, like any big decision in my life goes to like my important board of advisor, which sits around the dinner table with me. And I'm mainly looking for her feelings and instincts about it. Yeah. Like she knows me better than almost anybody, and the good and the bad. And so she can tell when I'm making a decision because I'm like trying to stick it to somebody, or if I'm making a decision because it's like, yeah, that's the guy I'd support making that call. Same with you?
She'll just say, are you neutral?
Uh-huh.
And then I've got to be honest about it. It's like, obviously I'm not, like we both know.
Yeah.
Or yes, I am, but I have to fight my sales instinct to like sell her on it. She's like, you're not neutral. So that's kind of how we converse on those difficult decisions. But I joke with her, like she opened a pediatric clinic 5 doors down from us. So she does like concierge pediatric medicine in our little bitty town of like 500 people. And it's like Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman. It's awesome. And I bought this awesome Jura coffee maker for ours. And she's like building her business. So she's like, I don't have any money. So she took our Keurig that we've had for like 20 years from our house.
In the house?
And so it's at her office. And she's like, I'm out of pods. So she'll walk down. And I'm like, all right, guys. So I bought the building. And then I leased it to BirdDog. And I said, all right, guys, owner of the building's here. Everybody look alive, Yeah. And like,
when
what?
she walks in.
I was like, she owns 50% of the deal. But we joke, man. We're like, but we do everything together. Like the way we talk is like, we started the wealth management business together and we sold it. We started BirdDog together. We started her pediatric clinic, which she knows a little bit about what we're doing. I mean, I have no clue about anything medicine for children related. But like we started the things together. And when I'm talking to her, she's like, well, I've got to get this, and somebody paid me cash, and I've got to put it in the bank, and we use a regional banker, and so there's no ATM in our town, to be able to put the cash in, or she'll bring these things like, oh, that's not a big deal. She's like, this is a big deal. I was like, it's not, and it's almost like I was like, yeah, I joke with her. She'll punch me. I was like, I'm mentoring you, honey, in entrepreneurship. She's like, shut up.
Yeah,
but it's the same thing with like my board. Like I'll go to my board, and Jason Ballard, who runs Icon here in town. And I'll tell him all my problems, and they're really stressing me out. And he said, what do you go? He goes, I was like, and I was stressed out bad. And he was like, you got to make cortisol your friend.
Is that what he said?
He goes, it doesn't go away. You got to swim in it. And I was like, dang, dude. And then I brought up something that I was nervous about bringing up at the boardroom. He's like, that's okay. Like we had BirdDog, and then I started adding these other things like, taxes and finance and all this stuff. And it was like, you need to have a new name for the business. And I was like, I'm not doing that. This is my baby. He's like, well, no, the hunting part is BirdDog. The other one, this was probably 3 quarters ago. And it stressed me out.
Just renaming the
it, thinking about like having 2 brands, thinking about having to like create that and like the money and the effort and all that stuff. And I could justify. I was like, no, you go BirdDog something. I go BirdDog a hunt. I go BirdDog your taxes for you. I can go BirdDog this. And I was at his house before the board meeting, and I was like, I'm really stressed out about this. We got to talk about it. I'm going to tell you the board meeting tomorrow. I'm not changing the name. He was like, good. He goes, I just wanted you to think about it. I was like, dude, for like 2 months, I have been stressed out about this. I'm thinking of names and all these things. And he's like, and he said the cortisol your friend. So like, when Kat's like, hey, I've got this deal. It doesn't necessarily work. Whether make cortisol your friend, no, shut up. But it is interesting knowing her business is going to be great. It's already like profitable. I'm like
Kat's business?
Yeah. And it's like, and I was like, we'll be profitable this year, but we spent a lot of money. And I'm like, this is very hard what you did. Like you're 3 months into it and you have 40 or 50 patients and you grew it really fast. You kept your expenses real. You're drinking out of the Keurig. And like, I'm very proud of you. And so like, it's like the encouragement of the spouse, and ours is unique because we both run these companies.
Yeah.
But you also know the trials that you're going through, and you're raising kids together. It's like, it's awesome, and it's hard, and it's like all the things.
Before I ask this question, I got a question before that. How'd you get a Keurig to last 20 years, man?
I don't know. I guess those things are made really well.
You must have bought it when they were good, because I don't know that they last that long now. I feel like we swap them out every couple of years.
This is old school, and I don't think it works because she was seeing patients, and she was like, hey, can you watch the kids? Because our kids go to this university model Christian school, so they're in class Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and then we homeschool Tuesdays and Fridays. And it was a Tuesday, and a patient, it's concierge medicine, hey, I've got somebody fall and cut their chin. Can you stitch them up?
Yeah.
So she's like, hey, can you watch the kids? I was like, I'm in a huge meeting. And our offices are literally 5 doors down. I was like, I can't right now. So she takes them to her office. And my 10-year-old takes a jug of milk and fills up the water container because he wanted to make like a
Wait, in the
latte
Keurig?
or something in the Keurig, and she's like, "You just ruined my Keurig." I was like, "Well, it had a good run."
Yeah.
I was like, "You can come get coffee down here," but it's like that. It's like the kids are going crazy. I'm like, "I know this is insane, but it's fun."
The hard part, man, that's the part that I think breaks some folks' brains, which is like running a business, being responsible for all of it, and doing life.
Yeah.
Why do it though? Like, why do that versus go back to Goldman?
It's boring. It's like you're building something for somebody else. You have no equity in the deal. It's just like I hate it. I hate working for people because it's like I just want to be told like what to do, not how to do it. And that's what I learned. I never was like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur one day. It was just like my boss would come up around 2:00 and like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm not doing anything. Can't wait to get out of here. Like I hate
Oh,
this.
at Goldman?
No, not at Goldman. I was like, but it was like other jobs. Goldman was more like, hey, you need to call these 100 people.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I'm like, man, I hate this. But but it's cool to tell your friends you worked at Goldman. You know, it's like a good resume thing. But it was but for me, I just wasn't. I'm not cut out for that. I'm not cut out for like that 8 to 5, be seen, play the politics. I just want to go get things done.
Yeah.
And I loved all the places I worked at, but because like I learned a lot from each of them. But like what I ultimately learned is like this is a calling that like I have to go do, and it's like in the grind is the calling. It's like you got to go figure this stuff out. It's like very romantic to go buy a plumbing business or whatever, and you're like, oh, I've got cash flows, like got these guys who work for me, and then you're like, okay, that toilet's broken, like you got to go fix it. They're like, well, I didn't see this on the discounted cash flows,
Yeah.
It's like Mike Tyson says everybody's got a plan to get punched in the
face.
throat. Yeah, or whatever it is. You're going like, yeah, those are the things you have to do. And you're like, oh, while I'm doing this, like, I got to be patient. Maybe I need to slow down. I want to do this with excellence. Like, be thankful that you're in that really challenging environment because you could be sitting in a cubicle wasting your life,
You think some people like it, though? The cubicle?
Probably.
If they're kind of like a lifestyle person, maybe,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Or something
if you're a
like, hey, I want
lifestyle-
to surf and that's it.
I'm
and
sure.
Pay the bills.
I'm sure. That ain't me.
Yeah. It's not like you don't like to work. I think that's the part that's clear. Like, no, you like to work hard. It's just on your own accord.
I don't know anybody who likes being in a cubicle, but maybe they do. I don't know. But this is way more fun. It's scarier. Like when I first started that first company, this guy who's like, yeah, you're standing on a cliff and you got to jump. And you're like, it is so scary. Like, what if this doesn't work out? What if I don't get any customers? What if my product fails? Whatever. And you're like standing on a cliff and you got to jump. But like once you do jump off the cliff, you'll learn it was just a curb.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's so difficult. I talk to guys all the time. I'm like, I'll help you start this company and coach you up and do it. And you'll be so free. The things that you're worried about right now, and it'll take you 6 months of just, pain and suffering, but like you'll make it. I promise you'll make it. You have what it takes. And that calling isn't for everybody, and that's okay.
Do you think it's like that forever, where you kind of in the grind, or do you think the changes over? Like if you fast forward to Lusk 10 years from now, what's he doing? What do you think he's doing?
I used to really care a lot about peace. I always talk about shalom. I'd say shalom in the home,
Yeah.
And like it's like you see these guys who are older and wiser and talk slower and neutral. Terry Looper is like a great example of that. And like I think about that, but I also, this is like post Charlie, is like I also go like, I don't know what tomorrow holds for me, and I want to go all in all day. So it's actually a challenge for me. Before I'd have been like, yeah, I want to be like Terry Looper when I'm 75 years old, and just chilling and calm, and I've done my deal and I'm going to mentor. But I don't feel that way right now. I feel like I've got a very important mission that I struggle now. I'm neutral on decisions, but not with my actions. It's like I want to go very fast and bring my guys up. There's a lot to do and a lot to learn in a limited amount of time. And so that's where I'm at right now. So I don't know what it's going to look like later on.
Well, I'm sure I'll be there to see. Maybe we can keep each other posted on what. I don't know if there is right or wrong. I do think about that being kind of maybe a romantic version of being like this kind of wiser chairman type, and you kind of, get to do the things, which I think is very possible. But is that what is going to ultimately fuel you? Maybe it looks different.
Yeah, you see these sages. There's like this framework that I learned about. It's like you're born a lover, and then like you become like a warrior, and then you become a king, and then hopefully you become a sage, and like you're working through those things. And like if you don't become a warrior and you're too nice all the time or whatever,
Yeah.
you can't win. And then the guys who are supposed to be kings will compete against their warriors because they're insecure. And you're like, dude, just let the guys do the thing. And then you have guys that should be sages and wise. They're competing against the kings and one-upping them and all this stuff. You're like, you should just let the guy shine and whisper in his ear. Like, is there a temperament for that kind of person? It almost makes me go back to like, what does it take to be a CEO? Do I have to be this person over here? Can I be a sage in the future and still be intense? That's the question right now. For me.
You can,
because you don't want to be like, you don't want to be like a Temu version of somebody else. Like I don't want to be a Temu Terry Looper. I want to be who God created me to be.
Yeah, no,
not to be like this other person. Well, what if He created you different? And all His listeners, what if He created you different to go be the person that you're supposed to be? Like that's okay.
And you were just on some. You put yourself on some manufacturing line and thought this is what I ended up needing to be. Where maybe you're a fighter all the way to the end. No, I do. I had a combo some time ago with a friend of mine, and both former military guys, and we were chatting, and we both came to the same conclusion. I just said it out loud, and I was like, because we were catching up, and you know how it goes. You get just with friends, you start joking, you shout, and then at the end, it started getting kind of serious. And then I was like, man, I think the biggest thing about the further we get away from our time in uniform is reconciling when people don't no longer see us as dangerous anymore. And I think in a way, it's probably not a bad thing. Like you want your kids and you don't want people at church to be like, man, who's this guy?
Right.
But at the same time, there was some level of like meaning and purpose, like a beautifully built blade that just like, there's something just beautiful about something that you know what it's for and it does it well.
Yep.
And I think to your point, are you supposed to be that for the rest of your life? Or is it okay that the blade becomes a butter knife at some point? And I don't know.
Don't become a butter knife. Would be nice. Stay sharp. Yeah. I don't know. And that's an interesting point about being dangerous. I think in general, it's like do whatever you have to do to stay sharp because people look to you. Like as when it hits the fan, whether you're in the military or you're at post-military, it's like people are going to look to the strongest people in the time of need. And you've got to, like, you're God's man, basically. It's like they're going to run to you. And, like, are you worthy of that?
Yeah.
It's a good question.
Yeah. Did you get, like, I'll still go for my runs, and I don't probably pack on as many miles and stuff as I used to. But every once in a while, so we have family visiting. They're like, man, why are you doing that? You're not even in anymore.
Yeah.
And I go, yeah, but you never know, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
You never know. I go, one thing I give people a hard time with, if your kid ever gets abducted, I guess I'm the one chasing them down, not you.
Yeah.
Because it looks like you can't keep up. But I think it's all that to say that, like, I do think that this path that you're on and that other folks are on, where they're kind of just wrestling with, like, what's next. I appreciate your perspectives on it, Jonathan. Always, man, because it always, I think, gives a level of depth that I think folks are maybe afraid to say out loud. But it's all in there. Everybody is thinking about it. Whatever it is. I mean, it doesn't only have to be ownership stuff, but it can just be, it might being a great son or father or brother. I think about that, just in general, like all these different octaves you are as a guy or gal. What are the different variations? Are you doing good in those individual things?
I think just like transparency. I keep saying the word truth, but transparency, vulnerability, like tell the truth. Hey, man, I'm not doing well in this, or I need help, or I just screwed up, or I'm afraid of this. Like I do that all the time with my guys.
Yeah.
I'm like, just so you know how I process this, like I do not want to make this next call because I'm about to get chewed.
You tell them that?
Oh, yeah. And you guys are all going to listen to it because I want you to understand how to respond, or whatever it is. It's like that transparency is like really important, I think. And it goes back to like teaching these guys being like, they're your warriors. They're my warriors. And it's like, what are you teaching them to help them become a king one day, to lead their guys? both in their families, like their marriages and their children and the businesses that they continue to work in or go start or whatever. I think that's very important. Everybody's watching. Like, what are you teaching, basically?
Last thought, man, and then I appreciate your time there, Jonathan. I know we got to get you to Spelling Bee, man.
Spelling Bee, yeah.
Yeah, Spelling Bee, man, out there in the ice cream capital,
He's
Texas.
a smart one.
You got to tell me what the biggest word he ends up spelling.
I will.
I probably never heard of it.
Last time, he goes, he basically was like, he studied one word the night before, and my wife was looking at the words on there. It was pediatric, and she's a pediatrician.
Yeah.
And she goes to study that, and he gets up, and these are randomly selected. There's like 700 words or something. And they're like, this next word, is pediatric. And he starts laughing. And in front of the whole school, he's like, oh my gosh. He goes, this is the only word I studied. And he goes, my mom said she was going to kill me if I get this wrong. Pediatric, he goes on to spell it or whatever. I was like, that is so funny. And I asked him last night, I was like, are you ready for this? He's made the regional or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's what this is tonight. He's like, I didn't study. I was like, all right, we'll see how it goes. I'll be there at 6. Good luck. So funny.
I'm sure he's going to crush it. What word he studied tonight? Did he just do one word again?
I don't think he studied anything last night.
Is he just a savant, man? What is
he
that?
He reads a lot.
Okay.
He reads a lot.
Yeah.
And he's smart. Like he's a very smart kid. He's an engineer type brain. My 10-year-old, very thoughtful. Like my dad bought him a 3D printer. He's like printing things. He's reading all the time. He questions a lot, which is like great. Very just a thoughtful kid. And so I can see, and he doesn't get all the answers right. He gets more right than wrong. But
yeah,
you're like, dude, did this kid come from me?
Yeah.
I was just like, I just hustle. He's like actually really smart.
Yeah. That's good, man.
Yeah, it's great.
That's awesome. I love that, man. Okay. In a world right now, I feel like there's a lot of things shaking and baking in a negative light.
Yeah.
What keeps you positive about the outlook of just where we're at in our country?
I know what the battle is. This is good and evil, and you're seeing it. You're seeing the Epstein files. You're seeing like all these things come out, just the vitriol in our country, and you have to like understand what it is. If you don't understand what the real game is, and it's becoming clearer and clearer, it's like the line is drawn, and it's like Satan and Jesus. Like those are the two teams, and you have to decide which team you're on. And it's like I've decided. And so I have a framework for what's going on. As you see it get worse and worse, because it will, it also gives me deeper faith. Like it's strengthened my faith, actually, because I'm like, man, it's not hidden anymore. Like there's no guessing about what it is. It's not cloudy. It's like very clear what it is. So then you can like choose the team that you're on. That's what keeps me is like, oh, I believe this for a long time. It's actually very, very real to me. I'm going to double down in it. I'm going to double down in it. And my family's going to double down. And my team is going to double down. And like I can stay positive because I know I'm on the winning team. And so I can go and serve people and be joyful and have an understanding of like what's going on and why and how I'm going to deal with it. So that's how I think about like this world.
Yeah, it's a good way to think about it. It's it's not like a good way to think about it. It's kind of like, what choice do you have? And I think the part that I've been thinking about lately is it's really easy to go down that rabbit hole of all the horrific stuff that's going on and make people go, I can understand why people might not find hope. But I try to remind myself and others around me is like, man, but there's a lot of light though. Go look at that.
Yeah.
Go look at that. Probably go look at that way more than you're looking at the other stuff.
Yeah,
Don't ignore it. It's there.
Yeah.
But go look at the other stuff.
Yeah. It's like there is more evil than you could have ever imagined in your life. Like that you thought would happen a long time ago. You're like, no, it's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
And like the light is even brighter. The light is brighter. And it's right in front of you. And so that's how I live it. That's how I deal with it. And it's like brings a lot of joy. Like there's a correlating joy in the pain, just like in life when like something you have to suffer for or something that cost you the most and you overcame, like you appreciate it a lot more than if you were just given something or whatever. And so that's how I think about that. I see like the darkness, but I also see a greater light than I've ever seen in my life. Let's go, baby.
I dig it, man. Now, man, fires me up, John. How can people find you, brother? I mean, you got not just you, but just what you're doing.
So our website is birddogit.com. It's a verb.
Verb, man.
Like Google it, Venmo me, Grok it, birddog it. And that's where we're at, man. We've got a land intelligence play that we're building, taking care, loving on landowners, helping these families fulfill their legacies through the land, and being really smart about the things that they can do to help them out. So love everybody's support, and I just appreciate you having me and what you're building here and how you're helping these guys and gals build these businesses and grow, and we're all in the grind together. We're all in it together. If I can ever be helpful, people can just reach out.
Yeah,
I'm on LinkedIn.
Yeah, no, John, he's one of those folks. If you send him a note, I don't mean to put you out on, but he's the guy who actually responds to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you coming in, John. Always, man. Always good catching up. And I hope that, I know we could have spent a lot of time talking platform data and all the things. And if you want to, go down that rabbit hole on y'all's website. It's awesome. But I'm glad we just got to spend some time just kind of in the mind of like what it takes to just be someone who's good and having to do hard things.
Do hard things. Stay sharp.
Stay sharp. Thanks, brother.
Thanks,
Stay
buddy.
sharp. No butter knives. No butter knives, man. Yeah. Thanks, brother.
Thanks, man.
So if y'all love what we're tuning into here, more conversations like Jonathan coming up, please do us a solid. Help more Americans out there learn about folks like Jonathan building great businesses, but also just giving you that inspiration to pick you up and as you're running your day-to-day. Please like and subscribe if you're watching us on the tube. And if you're listening to us on Apple and Spotify, leave us a rating, a review. We read everything. We'll share them with Jonathan and team. It's only nice things if it's about Jonathan. If it's anything mean, you can send them my way. But thanks for all you do, and thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in to the American Operator Podcast, where we celebrate the backbone of America, small business owners and operators like you. If you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe so you'll never miss out on more of these stories and insights from people who keep our community strong. Until next time, keep building, keep operating, and keep America moving forward.